Hey friend, you're listening to Pivot with Purpose. This is my show where I pivoted from shit I'm 30, where I was dreading turning 30. I had a failed marriage, failed engagement after that, and I don't have a relationship with my immediate family. But through it all, I came out the other side with a thriving business, an unexpected radio morning show of my own, and a platform where I can reach millions of people and help them walk in their truth. I am now celebrating every step of my journey into continuously finding my purpose, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes this journey looks like shit, and it probably sounds even worse, but it's still our journey, and I'm learning right along with you to enjoy it. There's always a rainbow after the rain falls. Now, if you need advice in pivoting in any aspect of your life, relationships, career, spirituality, send your questions or story to askcarlawomares@gmail.com or shoot me a DM at Carla Womares. Now, let's start the show. This week, we have in the studio as a friend of the podcast, Shekia.
Hey, Melodia, Shekia.
She is here. As you guys mentioned, I had been looking for a specific type of guest, and I found her. But before we get into why she's here, we're going to go into the segment Shit You Should Know. And recently, we just had, what is it called? Cyber Monday? Mm-hmm. And I did a little shopping, not too much because, I ain't got no job. So I need to, be careful with how much money I spend. And I saved my money. And Cyber Monday was not part of my budget, but I did buy some things. And I saw that Supercent. Do you know who she is?
Say it again?
Supercent. I don't know who she was either, but there's this makeup. I don't know how much you are into makeup called the Crayon Box. And she created this makeup a couple years back, and she used to bust tables, clean hotel rooms. So she's been doing very well with it. Mm-hmm. She sold she grossed $1 million in 90 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
On Cyber Monday. It was so good to watch because I watched the video and it showed how it was just going, like her phone just kept going with orders. And this is just what she started doing, and it was her calling. She worked really hard for it. She didn't come from anything to just do it. Like she said, she bust tables, she cleaned hotel rooms. She did the work behind it to be able to support what she wanted to do in her dream. And she did it. And now she's like living her purpose. Basically, she's like, don't give up. And she's encouraging others to do it. But I thought it was amazing.
That is awesome. I have to go look her up because I've never heard of her. What's her name again?
Supercent.
Supercent?
Yeah, so it's SUPA and then cent.
Okay.
Yeah, like 50 Cent, but Supercent.
Okay.
So she came apparently back from the Vine days and making videos and all this stuff. But listen, shout out to her. And she's a woman of color. She is a black woman. So I was just like, this is amazing that, women and women of color are getting the shine and they're getting the recognition in business because we know what we're doing. And a lot of these men sometimes are like, oh, you guys should just sit down and work and be housewives. I don't know about you, but I can't be a housewife.
I can work within the house. I don't have to go to a 9-to-5 job.
Oh,
I
correct.
can stay home and work. Yeah.
Right, like I am here.
Yeah, I can stay home, definitely.
That's it, but I don't like staying home either. I have to at least be with people. So I'm bringing the people here. Like you're here with me and I get to talk to you. So it's not like I'm really home.
Yeah.
But cleaning, I don't do that. Yeah. I have a cleaning lady, and actually she's gone right now this month. Like, who told her she can take a vacation? She went back home to Colombia, and I'm stressed. So I have to buy extra underwear because when you run out of underwear, then you have to wash them, and I don't wash my clothes.
See, I have to clean. I don't mind cleaning. I do not mind cleaning. I
hate it, so that's what I have a child for. It's part of it was part of her purpose in life.
Oh, you know what? That's true.
Well, anyways, I have you here. I went online and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about next. What's the next guest that I wanted to have on? And I said, I want something different. What haven't I talked about? Who haven't I talked about? What kind of person have I not met? And I thought about, shit, I'm 30. Are there any virgins left? Someone had written, I think it was on Facebook or on Instagram. And I said, I bet you there's no virgins left past 25. And then somebody said, shit, past 18. And I was like, well, you might be right. Because nowadays these kids in high school, they getting down.
Oh,
in middle school.
At younger ages, middle school, yeah.
Yes, I have a friend. Yeah. I think she was a teacher in elementary school. And she told me, like, kids in elementary school even. My daughter had a girl that was sending nudes in the fourth grade. Well, not I worded that really wrong. My daughter's school had a girl that was sending them, and my friend's son saw them and she told me about it. And I was like, well, you can't be friends with her because she's just no good. If she's doing it now, I send my nudes every once in a while, but I'm grown, paying my own bills, and I'm a grown woman to my boyfriend, back in the, we're not going to talk about
but
that.
kids are doing the same thing to their boyfriend.
But children,
elementary, middle school.
like I'm talking about children. You don't even have no titties, little girl. Like there's nothing there, and your underwear are from like Fruit of the Looms or whatever it's called, Fruit Loops. I don't know what they're called from Walmart. Like, come on, girl, stop. But anyways, so I'm writing on, and I got on to, I don't know if you knew, but there is, or if anyone knew, there's like a Match.com or a dating website for virgins.
Oh, really?
Right. So I went on live. And I said, okay, well, maybe I can do it with people with me. So I had to set up a profile. Mm-hmm. And I set up a profile. And then when I get to it, it says, are you a virgin and non-virgin? I said, oh, shit. So I guess non-virgins going on there, like men or women, to look for a virgin. And I said, oh, I've heard it costs a lot of money to take somebody. So I guess they're getting a couple dollars. Or maybe another virgin wanted to meet another virgin. Okay, cool. So I put that I was a virgin on it. And I didn't put a picture, so I wanted to like search people in Orlando, and I found a few, but that was just it. They were a virgin. I'm like, what's the big deal about being a virgin? Okay, you just haven't had sex. Big deal. Then Shaquana, a friend of mine, she said, I have somebody for you. I said, girl, who do you know? Come on now. You know we don't know nobody. Like, stop playing with me. She goes, actually, my cousin. And I said, why are you lying? You know you don't have a cousin that's a virgin. She goes, no, I really do. Do you remember I said, oh, yeah. But I thought when she said your name, I thought of your sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I
said, the one who
right.
Says,
but I said, don't
like
she
me.
have kids? Does she have kids? She does have kids,
she
right?
She has 4 kids, yeah.
Yeah, she has kids, and she was married before. I remember there was a wedding at one point in time. Mm-hmm. Right. So I said, oh, come on now. How you going to tell me she's a virgin? Born again virgin, you mean? Like, I wasn't looking for a born again virgin. I was looking for a virgin. She goes, no. My cousin, her sister. I said, oh, okay. Then I said, well,
I wonder how she knows that. I've never even told her that.
Have you talked about it before?
I probably have. I did another interview. I probably did mention it.
Have you mentioned it on Facebook or something?
I did another interview on Facebook, a live. Maybe I mentioned it then. I don't know.
Yeah. So she mentioned it, and I said, oh, okay, but then I was like, well, what does she have to say? She's like, well, I'm going to just send you her page and you can look through it. So when I looked, I saw your book. Mm-hmm. And I said, ooh, she got shit to say. And she's, she has a story. She has something behind it. Mm-hmm. So, and you're very different from me. Although we have the same upbringing of coming from the church, we took different paths. And I said, well, you know what? Her story, she already talks about what she's got going on. And from this, we come into a book that you wrote. Mm-hmm. You wrote called Life After Freedom.
Yes.
So I said, well, but what freedom? She was in jail? That's the first thing I thought. So I thought you went to jail, and then came out, and you were talking about the freedom of jail. And then I saw that it wasn't. So basically, let's go into you and tell me like where you're from, how old you are, and a little bit of your background.
All right. So I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida.
You don't see that often. Born and raised here.
You don't see it often. Like, everybody is a transplant. Like, but I was born and raised here. 3 sisters. Of course, my cousin. Mm-hmm. I did move for about a year to Tennessee to kind of dive into the music industry. Came back, but I am 35 years old, and so my testimony is that the Lord delivered me from a pornography addiction. And it was an 8-year-long addiction, and I tried everything to get free of it, and all sorts of, just the prayer and all of that, and just kind of wondering like, okay, Lord, like, why can I get free from this? Because a lot of people see it as like many people don't even think there's anything wrong with it. But I know for me, it was really destructive.
You spoke, but you said it's an addiction. It was a real,
it was a real live addiction.
Right.
That's what I would say it was.
You sent me your book. I would say it's an addiction. Because if you spent a couple of pennies on it. So one, you're in the church. You had an addiction, regardless of what it was, and which we'll talk about it. It was an addiction. Now, there was one thing that I said, I'm going to have to ask you. You did tell me, I don't like speaking about the fact that I'm a virgin, but this is probably the one thing I'm going to ask. Are you a virgin?
Yes.
A real life gold star virgin?
Yes.
Because that's another thing I got from when I was, I have a little bit dirty mouth. I'm sorry. I'll repent later. When I was talking about it, they'd be like, oh, I'm a virgin, but I've had oral sex. Or I'm a virgin, or only because my hymen's still there, but I done got some booty play. Or there's all these different things. So you're a virgin.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Now that we got that out the way, she's a very real guy. It's real. Not like you hoes out there getting all kinds like finger banging in the booty and talking about you're a virgin. No, you're not. It's for real. So anywho, you sent me your book and I read it. And well, I didn't finish, but I got all the way to like starting when your life after everything happened.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you were introduced, because you said you were 8 years old.
I was 8 years old
When you were first introduced to porn.
At a family member's house. We just found it at a family member's house. One of my sisters found it, and she was like, "Hey, come look at this." And we're kids. We don't know.
It was a video or a magazine?
It was a video. So we kind of like snuck and watch it and stuff like that. So like the images always stayed in my head all throughout like childhood, middle school, high school. So yeah. So I was exposed at a really young age. And at that time, I knew nothing about like sex or love or anything.
So I loved reading that part because my first exposure to porn was at 9. I was in Puerto Rico and a friend of mine had it, and we have like carports like the one I have. And it was a TV that her dad used to keep outside. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I want to watch something." And it was porn. And I remember that, but I didn't become addicted to porn. I remember seeing it again. I think my parents in Puerto Rico had cable. And back in the day, you can just read, there were channels that had it, and you turn it on and it's just like, whoa, ball out. You know?
Yeah.
So what was the difference between, let's say I was 9 when the first time I saw porn, to you when you saw porn? What happened? What led to it? I know you mentioned your father being not around. There was different things and you blaming it on certain things, but what is your story behind from when you saw it at 8 to becoming an addiction?
I would say, there was always like a void with my father, like not being around, but I would not blame it on that. I think everybody makes their own choices. I think that's the thing with addictions. People like to try to put the blame on something. I think there are definitely reasons. So I would say there was definitely a void with him not being there. I was looking for love. And
was he never there?
So my parents got divorced at 8, and like a few months later, I was exposed to it. So, yeah. So he just kind of left and kind of faded out of the picture. We didn't see him a whole lot. So when I turned 22, my sister and I moved out, got our own place, and I had privacy. And really how I got into it was through joining the chat rooms. You know, back then, like chat rooms
The
were really
AOL
big.
chat rooms?
Yeah, the AOL chat rooms.
Yeah,
and I forgot
those.
the name of this one, but it was like an adult chat room where they talked about racial issues and all sorts of issues.
I was in one.
Right.
My screen was spicy jalapeno.
That's a funny name.
I still to this
That
day
can-
have,
that ma- that seems
I have
like
like a
you.
little chili pepper on my Instagram to this day.
That seems like it. But so I was really into that because I am very opinionated. And I love to write. So I like to, and I was kind of introverted. That's the thing. I was very introverted, always to myself, always on the computer, kind of like a computer nerd. So, they talked about different topics, and I explored different forums within the chat room, and I've kind of migrated over to like the X-rated forums where they were
So which
talking
ones
about
did you
certain
start
things.
with?
One of them was talking about like sex positions and stuff like that, stuff that I was very curious about. And being that I grew up in the church, I knew like that all of this stuff, in the eyes of God was wrong, or like territory that I shouldn't really be digging into. But I was just really curious.
So from 8 to 22, you didn't look at it.
From 8 to 22, we would find magazines here and there, but from 8 to 22, no, I wasn't.
You weren't
wasn't
curious about it. You weren't looking for it.
I was curious about it. It was always in my mind. Like those images was always like in my mind.
So you would think about it, but you weren't searching for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so at 22,
And I just didn't have access to it, to be honest with you. It's not like it is today.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. I mean, that makes, to 22, you're what, 3-4 years older than me? We had phones. We had computers.
I got so the computer I got at home, we were at home. So it was like a family computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were scared somebody's going to find it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't really get my own computer until I was like 22.
Okay, perfect.
And then we moved out. And so I had that privacy, and I was always very curious about it.
Okay. So now you left, that the cool chat rooms that were just positions and talking about, it was probably like that. Remember the white lady that talked on TV about sex health? The old white lady.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about.
Damn it, I can't remember her name.
I can't think of her name.
She was good though. She came on around 11 o'clock. This episode of Pivot with Purpose is brought to you by McDonald's. Let me ask you, have you ever had a Big Mac? I don't think you have to think that hard. Just think back to that first bite of a Big Mac, and it's easy to see why the OG Big Mac has been McDonald's classic for over 50 years. Well, now for the first time ever, there's a new twist, the Chicken Big Mac. I never thought I'd see the day, but it's here. The original Big Mac will always be iconic, but this chicken Big Mac is available for a limited time only. Now, you know the classic Big Mac with the 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions on that so yummy sesame seed bun. Well, now imagine that, but with 2 juicy chicken patties. That same special sauce, same fresh toppings, and that same delicious sesame seed bun. So listen, don't walk, run to McDonald's and try the chicken Big Mac while it lasts. Available at participating locations for a limited time. 12 o'clock, she was out while
I think I saw a few of her shows back in the day.
Yeah, so it was that kind of chat rooms at first.
No, not even that sophisticated. That's the thing.
Oh.
Like, these people were just like raunchy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were just a mess. So, and I was very curious and like interacting with them and stuff like that. And like I said, initially it was just about like racial issues and issues like that. But then it turned into more of like, you know, things that were more X-rated. And I knew in my heart, I felt like convicted about going that route and digging into those subjects.
You felt like it was wrong?
I felt like it was wrong. But still did it because I was curious. And of course, like, no one in my family ever talked about it. Of course, I didn't talk about it at church. That's the thing.
I mean, who talks about porn? I mean, nowadays I feel like people do it. Back then, it's a taboo
even
thing.
nowadays, people really don't. And if they do, they kind of project it towards the men, because no one assumed that women are really into it like that.
They assume that, but it's a big misconception for sure. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's with sex being so much more open nowadays, and it's like it's time for women to talk about what they like and what they don't like. I think it's a lot more open now. So once you get into that chat room, you discover what's because I've never been in. I didn't go into. Well,
I discovered like they were posting like pictures and things like that. So of course, when you click on the pictures, you go like straight to the website, and that's pretty much what happened. I started like clicking on the pictures, going to the website, viewing the pictures there, and then people post videos. And at first, it wasn't an addiction. It was more like something like a pastime type of thing. But the more I dug into it, the more I kind of got like hooked on it. And to be honest with you, I didn't know I had a problem until, you know, these viruses, basically. So my computer got a virus, so I had to go get it fixed. And then when it happened 2 more times, and I was like really trying to stop, I'm giving my computer viruses, but I just could not stop.
It was expensive back in the day to get them fixed.
It really
not
was.
Many people knew how to do it.
Yeah, and you know these Apple computers don't really get viruses like that. I didn't have Apple.
Wait, so, you had a PC?
I had a PC.
Every other week there was something in it.
Yeah,
and I wasn't even looking
and
at porn. I don't know what the hell I was looking at.
Yeah, especially
they're pop-ups.
Yeah, they're pop-ups, so you're gonna get them. So that's when I really realized, okay, I think I have like a real problem because I'm paying out all this money to fix this computer like every month, you know.
And you said that there was at one point you showed up, I guess the same guy you were going to get your virus fixed, and he knew something was up. And after a while
he was looking at me like, and I was trying to pretend like I didn't know why I was getting this virus, but of course he's fixing it, so he knows what's going on.
He's seeing your history.
Yeah.
Oh, so he knows your freaky history now.
That's how I felt.
We gonna call him Tyrone. So Tyrone walked in and then he talking about, here come Melody again. I'm about to see what she's looking at.
And that was the thing. So at that point, like the look he gave me, I was like, you know what? I think I have like a true live problem, you know? Yeah. So from then that point, and I was 22 years old.
Okay.
So from that point, I knew I had a problem, and it was like, okay, I have to make a decision. Like, do I tell somebody about this? Do I get prayer? Like, what do I do? And of course, I was not going to do that. I was not ready to do that because who am I going to tell?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned on there, which is a big thing for me because I did grow up in the church and I got pregnant at 17. I had my daughter at 18 and I've spoken about this on the show before. I feel like I was shunned from the church. I used to be in the dance ministry, so I would travel and I dance and I was worshiping praise, it's called. And once I had my daughter, it was like, oh, a baby having a baby. But so judgmental. And I do believe in God. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not a religious person, though. So growing up in the church made me feel like my grandfather was a pastor. There's so many pastors in my family. And my mother's still very much into the church, but she's very religious. One of the reasons why I don't speak to her. Because the judgment that I received from the church was bullshit. And I'm like, I'm a good person. I'm such an open book. Some people, I think that's why this has taken off from me the way that it has. I'm transparent. I'm not ashamed of anything that I did. Yeah. I had my daughter at 17. What can I do? I chose to be a mother. I went to college, then I stopped, and I decided to take care of my daughter first. Then I went back and finished for. I did all these things, and it was still like I wasn't good enough to some people that are from the, what I'll say, quote unquote, church, because I don't feel like they are the mirror image of God or Jesus. So when I'm reading your book, you were terrified to go to anyone in the church. And it seems like you were very involved in that dang church.
I was very involved. Like I was involved because I'm on praise and worship because I'm also like a singer and all of that. So I was on the praise and worship team, and any other ministry they had, I was on.
Didn't you everybody have like a group? The three sisters would sing. I remember.
And we were
that
singing
at
that time. We were singing, going out doing shows, talking about Jesus and stuff like that. I love the Lord. I just had a problem. And the thing is, I think a lot of church people sometimes, I don't know why that is, but they put forth this image of, oh, you have to be perfect, when everybody knows everybody's struggling with something.
The pastor probably messing with the secretary. It happens all the time. I mean,
I think
not your pastor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a standard. We should all have a standard, something to, we all want to be like Christ. We all want to follow, the
we
word.
Are human.
Yeah, but we do make mistakes and we fall, and we have to, even when our brother or sister falls, we have to love them to help them to get it together, not shun them. So I did feel like I was going to be shunned and maybe talked about. And that was that specific church that I was going through because I saw how they handled other people who had fallen.
You said that the moment you said something, everybody was going to know your business.
Everybody was going to, yeah.
And that happens a lot.
And I'm sorry, like I knew, like at that particular church, I'm like, okay, this church, you're supposed to cover people and make sure they're,
feel protected and feel loved and not judged.
This church, I knew that was not going to happen, unfortunately. And that's the thing about trying to get help. You really have to know who to tell because you don't want to.
There was something else you said in the book, and it was that the church said this. I was like, oh, she was in a cult. That wasn't no church. When they said that you couldn't leave the church without the pastor's blessing or something along those lines. It was a name for it. What was it?
Covenant. You can't break
Who's covenant? For what covenant? Who's covenant who? What does that mean now?
Okay, so you have some churches around here and around the world. They believe that you have a covenant with the church instead of like I know that your covenant is with God. It's not like with the church. But some people believe that your covenant's with the church, and if you leave the church, you're breaking like a contract, basically. Oh, so that's what this particular church.
So they don't want to lose your 10%, basically.
Probably, and so yeah. But see, that's why I got out of that church.
So how did you do it? Because in the book, what I'm reading, you seem like you're scared to leave because of it. You're scared you'll lose, I don't know, maybe your touch with God, or you were breaking or making.
Or something bad would happen because that's what we were told.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? You're going to blow up in fire or something?
I don't know. Just something bad, or disease, just something bad would happen.
A disease? Yeah. God damn.
So I wanted to get out of the church for like 2 whole years, my sister and I and everything, but it was just the fear and the mind control, the brainwashing and all that.
Yeah, that's a damn cult.
Yeah.
They still around? Poor people. We won't talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, because we are in the same city. So how did you leave?
Basically,
because now you have an issue and you realize
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I want to get help, but I knew I couldn't get help there, and I know every church is not like that. So I was like, okay, I have to get out of this church. So we started visiting other churches. We'll be praying for you. Like they couldn't really hold me accountable, and they didn't really think it was like a big deal.
Oh, okay.
To that extent.
Now you decide to switch churches, and you find this church and the pastor that you say that is the perfect one. You said that church ended up being in the same building that the $50 you found.
Yes.
So the Publix.
Yeah. So
Publix is gone.
That used to be a Publix. So I remember we were just going to me and my sister was going to get some Chinese food from that same shopping center that day. And I was like, man, I gotta pee. So I went over to the Publix. And on the way out, that's when I found a $50 bill. Then they tore that Publix down, and it sat there empty for about 2 or 3 years. And then this church was built, and I remember hearing about this church, and there was a really good church. Went over there, joined the church and everything. And it was probably about a year or 2 later that I realized, oh my God, this is the same place that I found this $50 bill. This used to be the Publix.
Now I think I just asked you before. You said you used to watch porn every day, once a day. Because I would say some people that say smoke weed, they smoke once a day. They can probably stop.
Yeah.
How often and for how long did you watch this?
Okay, so really anytime I was alone, most of the time. And at night it would be for hours. Sometimes I would go for like 5-6 hours, like hours. Like the sun would be coming up.
Well, damn.
Yeah.
See, here's my thing. Yeah. I'll watch porn every once in a while. My boyfriend's not here. I don't really watch it with him too much. I'm like, if he's not here, I need a quick 2 minutes. And that's all I need. If that. 2 minutes. And then afterwards, I'm like, all right, bye, shut off. And I'm like, hours. When I've read about addiction to porn, I'm like, what? How many positions can you really have? I guess there's a lot.
There's so many genres. So, and then I think the thing is too, I will say this, for people who are trying to either if you're a virgin or living a celibate life. I think sometimes if you're in a church, you feel like, okay, so I'm not actually doing it, so I can just watch the pornography because I'm not actually doing it. So I think it was more like a way to medicate that.
That stuck out to me because as me growing up in the church and you being so submerged into the church and still like a hardcore believer, I don't know if hardcore is the right word, but like a believer. A sin is a sin. All sins are equal. So you're like, okay, I won't have. Were you holding on to your virginity, or because of the church, or was it just it didn't happen, or it hadn't happened?
It's not that it couldn't happen or whatever, but
because you're a beautiful girl, I can see how guys want to be like, hey, girl, I love you. Come on, let me get that. I had a lot of that.
You know what? That was a commitment that I made when I was 12.
Okay, so you did it.
I made like
a
straight up commitment. I was like, Lord, well, really because of God, not even really because of the church. I just remember making a commitment, like, Lord, I'm gonna stay a virgin until I get married. So that's what I mean by church is like this, because of your spiritual belief. Okay. Yeah. So
what was the difference in your mind? How were you saying, okay, well, I'd rather commit this sin of porn instead of the sin of sex? Because I mean, to me, I'm like, man, I'm already sinning. I might as well get me a couple dicks down. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a sin. A sin is a sin, so I might as well get off with a person instead of being addicted, because I feel like an addiction, regardless of it being born, crack, meth, like anything, sex is an addiction. All these addictions are all the same. You say you can't sleep, you're tired, your spirit is low. Like, it takes a toll on you.
Yes, it drains you. Yes, and it can even make you like sick. I think at the time it was just a deception. Like, I just figured, okay, so I'll do this. And I knew it was wrong. Actually, I knew it was just as wrong. But I was already hooked by then. And so it was never a thing of, okay, I'll do this instead of that. At first it was. That's what I tried to tell myself. But I knew that it was wrong. And in a way, I almost felt like it was, like, worse. Because I felt like I was opening myself up to so many other, like, spirits. Like, I'm really into, like, the spiritual realm and the things that you're opening yourself up to.
Was there anything in specific that you would watch? There was some question that I received, and they're like, is there, when you're a sex or a porn addict, is there a specific genre that you go for, or is it all of them?
I would say it's definitely not all of them. Oh my God, no.
There's some weird shit out there.
So I would say at the time, in my early 20s, I was really hurting because my dad wasn't there. So I had like a lot of anger. So I naturally migrated towards, I don't know if you heard of like the BDSM, bondage and submission. So I migrated towards that because it was like more of an angry vibe. Where they like, there was like
extreme BDSM, or like, I just want to get slapped, because I saw that you put on an expert, it said BDSM is evil. And I said, well, I like to get slapped sometimes. A little choke here and there, not a problem. So is that evil? And I was married for a long time with my daughter's dad. And I did it. And I was like, well, I even did it with my husband. So under the eyes of God, it was okay. I just liked it. I didn't want to get hurt or get killed or anything, and not to the extreme. But was it an extreme BDSM of like, they almost died, or just?
I would say it started out as just slapping, whatever. But I feel like with anything, there's always a progression. So yes, it ended up very extreme. Of course, nobody died or anything like that, but it would end up very extreme. And I think the thing, even with married couples, I think with stuff like that, it kind of gets to a point where does it end? Like, if you open one door, you get bored with that. I would imagine you kind of get bored with that. So you always want to progress. So it gets to a point of like, okay, where does it end?
Nah. You can't show me too far. No. So
but you know what? That's for you, but you may not know what's going on in his mind. I'm sorry. Like, you may.
It better not come out in that hand, though. That's all I know. The slap better not go too hard.
And see, that's the thing. I feel like, especially with men, they're different. Like, I think women's, like, when we are addicted to things like that or into stuff like that, we know how to put limits on certain things. But as far as a man, I don't really think they do. I think at some point they kind of want to progress naturally.
I think that is something, and that's an issue I have with the church, and that is putting those limitations on men and women, on what we are. It's like men are just naturally rough. Men are beasts. Men can't control themselves. Yes, they can.
They can, but many of them
too. There's women the same way. So when you say that, it reminds me of when I was in the church. And it's like, you need to be, as women, we need to be, dressed this way or conduct ourselves this way, because the men are savages. And, a man will want you. Well, I want him too. You know what I'm saying? What's the difference between a woman and a man? He looks good. I'm looking at him the same way he's looking at me. So what makes us different than a man? So a man there's men that are more emotional than women. So I feel like it's 50-50 with everything, but we're training our boys to think as men. And I think the church trains our boys, I'll say some churches, not all. They're training the boys to think that they're like animalistic, that they can't control themselves, and telling girls, you need to watch what you do because he's going to be a man or he's a boy and he's going to want this and he can't control himself.
I think there is some truth to that. I don't think I wouldn't say they're animalistic or anything like that, but I do feel like men are very visual creatures. I think that if they watch pornography, they're gonna want to go do it. Versus a woman, it's more like fantasy for us. So I think a lot of it is not that they're like,
but women gonna want to go do it too.
Some, like, honestly, I didn't. That's the thing. Like, and I'm not saying every man is that way, but for the most part, most men, they want to do whatever it is they're watching. I mean.
I don't think that has to do with that one. We'll just agree to disagree, because to me, no. When I want to do something, I do it. Like, period, point blank. Like, there's been times with my boyfriend, he's like, I don't think you should do that. I said, I don't care. Like, and I've always been that way. I do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I've checked to see if any balls grew, and none. Like, they're not there. Like, I'm still a woman. My daddy told me, like, you should have been growing a man. But there's so many other women like that. And I feel like there are some that grew up or being taught, like, you don't go towards your impulses, or women, like, you need to be reserved. And I think it has to do with the way
everybody should have that standard. I don't think there should be.
Doing what you want.
Not doing what you want, but I think everybody should have a certain standard. Like, for example, if they tell women to dress modestly, men need to dress modestly.
Right.
Well.
I mean, I don't hear what they titties at. Why can't I wear mine?
I mean, because we're not blind. I'm not blind. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think it should be like a religious thing. Like, your skirt should be down to your leg. You know what I'm saying?
And they should be black. And this,
I'm not with all that. And like,
my girl, is that Pentecostal? I think, or she used to wear only skirts. She just started wearing jeans. I think maybe in the last 10 years, maybe. She's 85.
Oh, wow.
I remember going into her closet and it was all black skirts.
See, that to me, that's just religion. And one thing about me, I'm not religious. That's why I'm here now, because I'm not religious. I'm not down with, with just religion.
I don't think what to do. You're reading a Bible. You believe certain spiritual things. You believe in a higher, I do. I believe in a higher being. I believe in being a good person. I believe that, yes, if I do something wrong, I can pray. And I'll do pray, and I'll say, a lot of times I'll say, thank you, God, because I was able to quit my job.
Yes,
and it wasn't just, hey, one day I woke up. No, I planned for it and I did. But with my mind and me being good to people has led me to where I am today. And I know that it'll keep growing. So with you, it's like you're saying you're a lot more into the church than I am, because I don't want to deal with the people. But at the same time, you say certain things like men are like this. And I'm like, I feel like that's something we were taught, because I was taught the same thing growing up. Anywho, I saw something that you wrote. Oh, let's go back when you start. Let's touch into when you went to your pastors, because now you switched church. Yes. Now is the old church, the cult, mad at you?
Oh, yeah, they're mad. They're mad. I'm excommunicated, all of that. And I was at the time, I was like, I don't care.
Who communicated with who? What did you get?
Excommunicated.
What does that mean?
That means like, okay, this person left the church, so don't talk to them. They're probably a bad influence. Yeah.
Oh, so now they can. That church tells people who to talk to and who not to talk to.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of church that was. Yeah.
Or your parents?
I was watching. It was like the craziest thing. I was watching a Lifetime movie, and the couple in the Lifetime movie, they watch porn together all the time or whatever, and the man ended up cheating.
Oh yes, girl, I remember the story. Go ahead, because I like.
Yes, and that's a true story.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so they was like really just freaky into all kind of stuff, and I guess he wanted somebody else too, or whatever. That's what I mean when I say, where does it end? Because at some point somebody's gonna be like, okay, yeah, maybe we should do a twosome now. Okay, maybe a threesome, foursome. At some point, somebody's want to go out and do some more. So he went and cheated on her or whatever. So she killed him. And I just remember like watching his lifeless body in the shower. He was dead in the shower. I don't know why. Like, a thought in my head was like, okay, this is gonna be you. This is you. And I was just like, and I knew
you dead. Because of porn.
Yeah, and
it could have been maybe,
and it was very like extreme. I was kind of like, and then I felt something tell me like, not physically like you're physically gonna die, but it's just your spiritual. He's like this is basically you in the spirit, and this is your life right now. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to. I really felt like at that moment I needed to reach out and get help, and it was around like 1 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, I reached out.
You were watching a Lifetime movie at 1 a.m., not porn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I wrote my pastor's wife on Facebook. And I just wrote this long letter. I was like, I'm addicted to pornography. I really need help. she wrote me back and was like, okay, we'll set up a meeting, whatever. And yeah, so she set up I called the office that next day, and they set up a meeting for like 2 weeks off. So right then and there, I'm like,
were they older?
Yeah, they were like in their 50s, like older pastors, which I liked. It's like they had seen it all, like nothing was like a big deal to them.
50s is not too bad.
Almost like late 50s.
How old were you at this point?
I was 29.
Okay.
29. Yeah.
And still a virgin. Had not tried anything.
Yeah.
So you go into this, what do you tell them? How do you feel like they helped you stop? Because if you tried for, now it's been, 7 years? From 22 to 29, 7 years, and you tried, and you tried everything you said.
Everything.
You tried everything, and nothing lasted more than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So how now going to this pastor, or the pastor's wife, how did that stop you? What did they say that was different than what you were doing before?
You know what? I think it was just the fact of telling someone that I was afraid to tell. I think when it comes to certain things like addictions like that, so I feel like, spiritually speaking, I feel like the enemy has a hold on you when you keep it a secret. Like I feel like the addiction thrives in secrecy. So I was like, I'm going to tell the people that I would be most afraid to tell. I'm just going to put it out there.
Spiritually that way, but just within the world, you have no one to hold you accountable. So if you keep it a secret, it's just like, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. If you slip up, no one knows.
Going. So now you opened up and it's out there.
Yeah. So I did go. So I met with the pastor's wife first. Like I met with her in the room first, and I told her, and she straight up from off the bat, she was like, anything you tell me is cool. I'm not gonna think any differently of you.
Right.
So I went ahead and just opened up and told her, I was like, okay, I'm addicted to pornography and I don't know how to stop. And all of this, and I was in there crying and everything, and she, it was kind of shocking. She was like, "Okay, what kind do you watch?" And I'm like, I'm looking like, do you really want to know? Like, I'm not finna, I don't want to go.
BDSM?
No, I was like, I'm heterosexual. I just kept it right on the surface. I'm like, I'm not finna go into all these, because she was like, "Oh, what kind do you watch?" And I was like, what kind of question is that?
Maybe she was probably trying to, see if you like the same thing she liked, and she could have y'all would have had something in common and talked about it for a little bit.
I doubt. I don't know why she asked that question, but I was looking at her
telling you why she asked that question. She's been watching porn with her husband. She wanted to make sure you weren't doing that. Nothing too crazy. Like, okay, I can help it with this. If you were doing something like Dick the Nose or something, she would be like, I can't help it. That's more mental.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm not finna go into all different genres. She probably didn't even know nothing about it. I was like, heterosexual.
Oh, she know.
You know what? Maybe she does, because she's human. Okay, and she's probably seen it all,
right?
Because they were really good with counseling. Because I remember from the stage, there was like, if anybody's going through anything, you can always come talk to us, set up a meeting, and that's really what made me set up a meeting. As it should be
in the church.
Yeah. And like I said, they were very transparent with their past, so I didn't feel like I was going to be judged. So I spoke to her, and then we went into the room, and I had to repeat the same thing over again to her husband.
Did he ask you what kind you watch?
No, he didn't. But the first thing he said was, "Oh, well, you must like it." And I was like,
"No, nigga, I love it." I'm just kidding.
And I was like, "Well, I do, but I really want to stop." He's like, "No, you must like your life the way it is." He's like, "If you really want to stop something, you would stop." And he was. I remember him telling me, "Okay, the devil's not making you put your hand on the computer and look up porn. He's like, I understand where you're coming from." And he said, even me as a man, he said, struggle for me too, to make sure I'm not doing nothing I shouldn't be doing. That's why I share office with my wife. He's like, I'm human. But he's like, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want you to have this mentality of, oh, the devil's making me do it. And, I'm doing it because of my dad, or I'm doing it because of this and that. He's like, no.
We're taught that also in the church growing up, that the devil's making you
the devil.
do ABC.
He was like, no. He's like, we're not going to do that. He's like, you need to really examine why you're doing what you're doing. And really, when you do this, really think about what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your soul. Are you upset about something? Are you frustrated about something? So he really was like, you need to dive into, basically, like you said, therapy. Like, you need to really be diving into why you're doing what you're doing. But he said, of course, also, we're going to pray, we're going to fast, stuff like that. So they were very instrumental in helping me just like to see the light, because I think I had like this victim mentality. And he was like, we're not going to do that, because the devil can't. God doesn't make us do anything. The devil can't make you do anything. You're making
yourself weaker. You're telling yourself you're weaker. Like, it's because of A, B, and C that I can't do this. My father is because where I grew up. It's because of what I'm going on socially. That just makes you think that you're weak.
That
so
you're weak. And that's what I thought.
It.
Like, I can't stop. He's like, you got to stop saying you can't stop doing. You can stop doing whatever you want to stop doing. He's like, it's going to be difficult because if you didn't get into it in 5 minutes, so you're not going to get out of it in 5. I think that's another misconception. People think I'm going to go to church, raise my hands, and God is just going to deliver me from this, and I'm never going to desire it again. And that's not realistic, because you are. Because we all are human. We have fleshly desires and needs. You are going to desire it again.
So how often do you see them? Would you see them? Or was it just one time meeting and that's it?
It was just that one time. I met with them one more time after that.
So just 2 times meeting with them. The rest you did it on your own. Mm-hmm. So basically you had it in you to stop all along. Yeah. So do you say it was because of the pastors, or was it because
I actually wouldn't. I would say they kind of helped me to get started on that journey of healing and deliverance, just by talking to them and them giving me that straight talk, but in love. It was all in love though, but it was just straight talk.
Right. As it should be.
Yeah. So then I realized, okay, so at some point I'm going to have to really take responsibility for this. I'm going to have to read my word, pray, fast.
How long do you fast for?
I would fast from like, sometimes I would do like just from like 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m. and stuff like that and pray.
I get real hungry. I can't fast. I did the fast, like that 40. What's the 40-day fast that comes in around like the beginning of the year? You know what I'm talking about? Well,
is it the Daniel fast?
Yes. So I did social media. I know for a fact I'm addicted to my phone, but I'm not getting rid of it.
Just a little bit by a little bit. Like, like God is not up there like, oh, you got to do a whole 40 days.
I work off of my phone, and I work off like that's understandable. So now it's just like whatever. I know that certain times I have to put it down. So you met with them twice, and the rest you did it on your own.
The rest I did it on my own, praying, fasting. I didn't just stop watching it overnight. People would tell you that, and they're probably lying. With anything. Long did it take? It took about a good year to get to a point where I really just did not need it anymore.
From 29 to 30.
Where I just didn't need it. Like and I will say the word need, because you feel like you need it.
Addiction.
I just didn't need it. Yeah.
Your mind is telling you if you don't get it, you can't keep functioning.
So you feel like you're gonna die, and it's like
there's a word that I hate when people say they're functional alcoholics or functional addicts, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like that, you're not functioning at your full potential.
You're not
when you're addicted to anything. Now, how long have you been? Is this considered sober? How long have you been sober from dangling on the television?
I would say maybe like 5 years.
5 years.
I would say 5 years.
Now, my question to you
it took about a year.
And it's funny, guys, now you're listening. So she comes in and she's like, when she sent me a message, she was running a little late, and I was like, oh, that's fine. She's like, we will be there. I was like, well, who the hell is she coming with? I didn't know. So you walk in here, and I was like, oh, she got her brother with her. I didn't know about her brother. I thought it was all sisters. So they walk in, and one of my questions was, I'm looking at it, I'm like, so what does dating look like now? So I was like, oh, is this your brother? And you're like, she smiles, and I'm like, oh, what is it? I'm like, oh, it's your boyfriend. Oh, it's a boyfriend. And my question to you was going to be, what does dating look like now? Do you have to, like, I feel like crackheads and alcoholics and addicts or sex addicts have to sometimes disclose this to whoever they're dating, because you should disclose it. So did you have, I was going to ask you, what does dating look like now?
It's easy when you have someone who is walking down the same path you're walking, who believes the same thing you believe, who believes in waiting until marriage and stuff like that.
Did you date during 22 to 30?
I went out on dates, and I had like really short relationships.
What's short?
Like 3 months.
Oh. Yeah,
but I was always dating, talking to guys and stuff like that. But I kept them at a distance pretty much.
So now, how long have you guys been a couple? Okay. So it was not necessarily, I would say, technical difficulties. It was the Lord that came through and told me that we have so much more content. You see what I'm saying? God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. So as we are recording, I'm asking her the question, well, how long have you guys been together, when I'm talking about the guy that she came in that was her brother. And about 2 minutes of the end of our conversation didn't record, and she tells me, she goes, a month. And I'm looking at him and I'm looking at her, and they're both smiling, and I'm like, oh, this is new. And I'm asking him some questions, and finally I'm like, well, this is good. You want to come on the mic? So y'all didn't get the backstory with the little 2 minutes, but we're going to start all over. So he's sitting over there, I'm looking at him, and I'm like, well, how long have you guys been together? And you tell me, Melody, how long?
1 month.
1 month.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, she goes, well, we were friends first. And I said, okay, for how long? And then I look at him, and he said, oh, about 1 month. Right. So this is so new. And automatically assuming, and when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself every time, and you just might be wrong. I was like, well, he must be a virgin too. So what's your name? Let me introduce you. This is her man that walked in here. You know, the camera turned off and I ran out of. I just thought I'll take a picture. He is very handsome. He's about 7'2". No, I'm just kidding. How tall are you?
I'm 6'7".
A 6'7" black man walking in here like he playing the NBA. You know, you guys are just a beautiful couple. So I said to you, do you disclose what you're saying? You said it was easy. Now, just tell us again your name and stuff.
Sure, yeah. My name is Reggie Huffman, and glad to be on your show.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm a Southern boy. And
are you from here as well?
No, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, from the deep south, and so we met on Facebook, and I'm a minister, and and so I do lives on there as well. Basically,
do you have a church? Does the minister have a church? Are you a pastor?
No, I'm not a pastor. Yeah, I'm a minister. So I minister at churches. I do events, conferences. I just like a traveling evangelist, so to speak.
You kind of look like a better version of LeBron James.
I get that all the time.
You get that? Yeah. He's a much cuter version of LeBron in the face.
That's
okay,
so funny.
go ahead. I'm looking at you now. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. But yeah, so we met online, and I instantly, when I saw her, and obviously she, her message is about her book and freedom and, freedom from pornography. I immediately knew that she was a woman of God, a woman of substance. And so, in answer to your question, in asking me, am I celibate? Certainly. And it's, due to my walk with God, and I haven't always been, I've been out there just like anybody else in them streets, right. Just doing what I want to do, living how I want to live. And I just got to a point where I was ready to change. And also I grew up in the church as well. So, and so, yeah, you can grow up in a church and still be out there doing.
And so you're 36, right?
Yeah, I'm 36.
So she's 35, you're 36. How long have you been celibate?
Yeah, I've been celibate for about 3 years.
Oh my God, I shouldn't have been drinking water when you said that. How do you, wow. So you was, out there doing you, and then you just said, I'm walking with the Lord,
right.
And I'm going to stop.
Yeah, I've been like in and out of relationships.
Oh my God, you guys are like that couple. What's their name? Megan Good. And did y'all read that book?
Not yet. I wanted to read that.
Oh yeah, you should definitely read that book. Yeah. I haven't read it, but I heard it's good. I don't think I'm reading it.
I heard it's good too.
Yeah, I'm not reading it. Okay, so you meet him. So you kind of know a little bit about her story from her Facebook or from her online presence.
Right.
How did you guys connect?
Yeah.
Who pinged who first? Who sent the DM first?
Well, I was doing my lives, and so I noticed she was like coming into my broadcast on Facebook Messenger. So I'm like, who is this? And I was pretty much kind of trying to figure out who she was and learn more about her immediately from that. And then she hit me on Facebook Messenger, and I was like, okay.
You
hit him first. She slid in some DMs first. She was like, hey, minister.
I was like, hey, I watch your lives all the time. I think they're really good, And really was just like as a friend, just like trying to like connect to other people who was doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we talked for how long?
Yeah.
Like
well, we like did we was messaging on Facebook for
maybe like a week.
Maybe that,
not
if
even
that, but I was like, I need to talk to her. So I was like, hey, can I get your number? Like, I was like, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, right? Like, I'm trying to figure out, okay, let's get to it. Like, ain't no need wasting time. And so so she gave me a number, and I was like, cool. And so I called her, and the rest is
the rest of these weeks, these 3 weeks have been magical.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, it's just about being on the same page. Just like what you were saying earlier. If you got people who crackheads and they both do crack together, they gonna get along. If you got people who do music together, if you got people who both into God and into their spiritual growth, they're gonna get along.
So did you find out about the porn aspect of it from her Facebook, or did you, Melody, go and tell him, or during the talking on the phone did it come out? Like, how did it come out?
I know I told him. I don't know if he had seen it on Facebook. But yeah, during our conversations, I told him. I definitely told him.
How do you tell us? Hey, so you're so cute. Anyway, I was listening to porn, and so I'm going to church tomorrow on Sunday. Let's talk about Job's. How do you say that?
Well, we were talking about our testimonies. And I don't remember if I just said I wrote a book about my testimony and this is what it is.
It's a great segue.
Yeah, so yeah, I just told him, and we would, talking about our past, what God has brought us through, and I was like, well, my testimony is kind of, different, but I was like, I used to be addicted to pornography for about 8 years. The Lord delivered me, and I remember he was just like, well, praise God, and
How did you take that? You didn't think anything of it. You said it's her past. It's her past.
It's real. Like today, transparency is the new currency. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like real recognize real. And so like I haven't been no saint either. You know what I'm saying? So like that immediately resonated with me that she was a strong black woman who's not afraid of like what she's been through and what she's faced. And I immediately gravitated to that.
I asked her while I was setting up your mic. I said, well, do you have that in common with her? Where you also, first I thought you were a virgin. You're not. Right. Then I said, well, do you have the pornography in common with her? And you said you watched it, but were you addicted to it?
Yeah, no, I wasn't like addicted.
You just enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I just enjoyed watching it. Then I got to a point to where I understood like that wasn't a good road for me to go down. Like, and like she said, like Melody mentioned, spiritual wise, it's a spiritual thing. It does something to your spirit, and then I found myself when I was watching it, it did make me want to go further and further down. Okay, let me see what else is out there, what's going on. And then I got to a point I was like, you know what? I don't need to get into this, because one thing about men, most men struggle if they realize, if they admit it or not, is commitment. Mm-hmm. And when you watching that pornography, that feeds into not being committed to anything, because it's like, boom, you watching it, then you watching something, you watching another woman, you watching another, you know what I'm saying? You watch another. And so
it's all so many different women, and you're trying to be with one, but you're seeing the black, the white, the Asian, the one with the pigtails, the one with the straight,
with the perfect body. And it's like,
I be watching the wrong porn, because sometimes I click on it, I'm like, oh, that's just, you nasty. That's just ugly. Yeah. Maybe some ugly ones out there too.
Yeah, and like Melody was saying, it has a different effect on everyone. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I realized, man, this is not going to help me trying to be committed to anybody. Like, and also my view of what a queen, how I treat my queen, because what, being real also is once you do get to that level of intimacy, in a marriage, God willing, you don't want to come out the gate like on some you trying to do some tricks that you've been watching, like, you know what I'm saying?
So that was actually the question I had for that's I'm going into that.
Yeah, and that stuff is, and I'm just saying, like, that stuff is not natural, because when people are feeding themselves with this, pornography, or their addiction, and then they're trying to come together with someone who they're in love with, you're going to go back, you're going to resort to what you've been feeding your mind with. And that's not going to be a natural interaction. That's how people be having these, intimacies that's not really organic. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so everybody just jacked up mentally.
What made you go celibate? Yeah. What made you go celibate?
The word of God. Like, just seriously being all the way real with myself. Like, being in relationships that wasn't bringing me, like everything I was looking for, what I'm saying? I said, maybe I'm going about this the wrong way, because in the world we live in today, you go out with somebody and you pretty much sleeping with them on the first or second date. Right. Just be 100, you know what I'm saying? So
it clouds your judgment.
Right. And so it's like, oh, I think I like this person, but I don't know, because now I done did this and did that. And then it just got to a point as a man, I'm just like, this ain't working. Like, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Right. So, it wasn't easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It got real. It got cold. You know what I'm saying? Like, that winter's real.
So both of you guys are committed to, there's no hanky-panky until you get married.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Melody, and I guess you've been there in a way. You watch so much porn. Like, I don't think I've ever watched, you've probably seen things I've never seen in porn. And you're seeing what we said, different women's, different men, different positions, all these different things. Now you're going to get married one day to a man. Because I was going to ask you that too. How do you know you're straight? But I guess you know.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
Because that might have been another issue that's like, oh, well, do I like women? Do I not? But you like your guy. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get married one day. How do you know you're not going to expect? Because you don't know what you're expecting. How do you know you're not going to expect or struggle with having the expectations of what you saw on TV?
Because for me, it was more like fantasy, and I knew that what I was seeing wasn't real. And I watched such like outrageous things to where like I know, like, honestly, I wouldn't even want to do that in real life, because it probably wouldn't even feel good in real life. Like, I know these people had to be like on drugs.
No, some people really do like that. And I know. And I have, which is complete opposite of my show. My really good friend has a show called Horrible Decisions, and it's spelled whore. So they talk about, maybe that's not a show for you, so I wouldn't say go listen to it. But they talk about, well, maybe because it's liberation of sex within women and women of color. So, and they enjoy sex. So they're definitely not in the church, and they're not in the church at all. They outside the church. But they're good people, and they, as women, they enjoy it. So they're like, why can't women enjoy these kind of things? Why can't a woman enjoy getting slapped or getting choked sometimes, or, you know, taking charge? They do extreme things. But there are so many people in this world that really do enjoy it. Just like in other worlds, they eat like duck eggs, and the duck is almost, you know what I mean? Like food, or they eat cow tongue, and we're like, ew, who would ever like that? The same thing with, I think, things that you might like within sex. So you really don't know what you will like or you won't like.
I mean, I'll find out. But
Right.
It's like,
but if you do so, but I feel like you're in your mind thinking, because of the church, this is wrong. Like when I read in your book, you said BDSM is evil. So what if you do like that with your husband? What if you want to be blindfolded?
well, you know what? I feel like this. In everything I do, I'm led by the Holy Spirit and my conscience. So I just feel like if anything goes against that, then I'll know it.
Okay.
You know, then I'll know. So it's not a thing of like going into it like, okay, I can't do this, won't do that, can't do this and that. But it's like more
I was worried
like,
for you about that. So, oh my gosh.
yes, it's not going to be like that.
Do it.
Yeah, it's
At
not
least
going to
try
be
it. You gotta try it.
it's not going to be like that. Like, okay, these are the strict rules.
Right.
I don't think no one's going to be like that. But definitely, I feel like if something does not feel right, because even for those women you talked about with the show, Horrible Decisions, I'm quite sure if anything, if they just get into a situation and it just does not feel right,
They won't do it.
They're not going to do it.
No, they do what they want.
What they want to do.
As a woman, you
so
do
maybe
what
they
you
may go a
want.
little further than what I would go, or and like you say, I don't
They
know
might
yet,
experiment
but
more. I don't experiment
they
as much as they do.
Yeah, so everybody has their internal guide to tell
Okay.
you, okay, this is too much, or if it doesn't feel good, it don't feel good. But yeah.
So you're not.
I'm not
won't
rigid
limit
about
yourself.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not rigid about it, anything like that. But I am led by, you know, just the spirit of God within me to tell me, okay, this is too much, or just my own conscience, or just how I feel. Like, okay.
So how long do you date to know that it's right?
You just
Well, I'm putting y'all on the spot. It's a new ass relationship. You're gonna walk out and be like, you better buy a room, boy.
you just know. You just know. Like, I mean, you know, I'm like I said, I'm 36. Like,
Right. What was your longest relationship before?
A little over 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kind of know what commitment is.
Right,
but
right. You know, you get to the point where you didn't seen it all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and so you just know, and that's why it's so importantly being equally yoked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like someone who you're both on the same page, you're into the same things. And, you know, the Bible gets, you know, people go in on the word like, oh, the word is so restricted, it holds you back. But here's the great thing about it. It says in marriage, the bedroom is undefiled. So, you know, like all these things that people are like, oh, well, if I get married, you know, it's a spiritual, and I'm with God and I can't do this and do that. Well, when you're in marriage, it says, hey, if y'all both rock with this and y'all both like that, the bedroom is undefiled. That's one of the things the Bible said, hey, that's on you guys. That's between you two. And so, but yeah, it's just about being on the same path. Both growing, both just loving God. That's what gravitated me to Melody. I knew she's real, she's transparent, she's not religious at all. I love the fact when she said she was going to do your show. I was like, that's dope. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I actually asked him about. I said, what do y'all say? The name of her show is SHIT. I'm 30. You know, so I was like, what do you think? And he was like, I think that's good because that'll help you like really reach a different audience. That's the audience you want to reach.
Right. And it's what audience might think to it. It's like when you think about it, it was more of the when I was about to turn, I'm like, shit, I'm 30. It's your life. Because the point of the show is there's this societal stigma that when you turn 30, you have to have your shit together. You need to be married, have the kids, have the perfect career, you know. And
I didn't have none of that.
No. So did you feel, at least both of y'all, because you're in your 30s, did you feel like, shit, I'm 30, my stuff's not together?
Yes.
And we
Definitely.
shouldn't feel that way. Like, I was an accountant. I went to school for accounting. I got my degree. I have $65,000 in student loans. And I just quit my job as an accountant. And I said, I don't want to do this no more. And the other day, I had someone here for a consultation, actually. And she's like, well, didn't you just go to school for accounting? And I said, yeah. And she goes, what the hell? I said, that's the exact thing that everyone tells me, and that's what I'm trying to get rid of. If you want to change your career and you find a new passion, do it.
Amen.
Do it with calculated risk.
Right.
I didn't just up and quit one day, you know, but know that it's your passion. And I was here working late nights, and, you know, I decided that was for me. So with anyone, that's really the name of the show. I put shit in there to grab your attention. And it's bad because I know everyone's thought that in their mind, shit. You know, that's the first thing. Well, I don't know about y'all. I don't know if you cuss sometimes in your head. I do, but I cuss out loud. And I was literally like, shit. Am I not good? I graduated a day before my 30th birthday. I took my my last class, and I was still told I wasn't enough. Well, you didn't go right after high school, so you're still not good enough. Even though you're doing all of this and you're doing great and you're a great mother and your daughter is gifted and she's doing all this, well, you got divorced, but you had your daughter at 18. I did all these things, but everything that I've done, none of it to me, I felt like it was wrong. It was the path that God led me in.
Yeah.
And I know that I have a purpose. So my purpose might be certain things. And like I said, I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form. And I don't go to church. I think I went to church enough. I probably should go one day. I'm going to go one day. Not today. And I know that if you're a good person, if you believe, if you do things right, then he'll be there for you. You'll be all right. You're going to be all right. Anyway, guys, you guys were great. You guys are so transparent. That's going to get you somewhere. But we're going to go into, before we get like how to get a hold of you guys. Actually, you can stay with us to give us advice. I do a segment called Unsolicited Advice. And basically, I give advice to people who didn't even ask for it. So we're going to give it to them anyway, and they better listen. That's the point of it. So this letter actually says, and it's really weird, and it caught my eye, and it has nothing to do with like what we were just talking about. It threw me off, and I was like, this girl needs help. It says, at first, oh, wait. Where's the beginning of it? Oh, shit. Hold on. Okay, so letter starts saying, low key, I hate my beautiful 5-year-old niece. And immediately I was like, well, you know, my 3-year-old nephew, I can't deal with him too often. Like, I pick him up and he's hyper. He's the cute. I mean, he is gorgeous, awesome. He started talking, but he has too much energy for me. So I was like, yeah, I feel you. Them 5-year-olds don't stop. Like, they're annoying. But then she said hate, and I was like, that's a strong word. I don't hate my nephew. I just think he's a lot. So it starts saying, at first I thought she just bugged me, quote unquote. When she was a newborn, I had no problems babysitting her all the time. But the minute she hit 2, I started to find her annoying. The other day when I saw her run up to me and hug me tight, it hit me that I'm jealous of a 5-year-old. And worse, in my head, I didn't say jealous. I said hate. I hate that she's beautiful and that all of our uncles and aunts love her, while I remember being called ugly as a child. I hate that everywhere she goes, she makes friends, while I struggled so hard to make friends growing up. I hate that she's accepted so easily in the all-white school when I didn't, and I used to make myself feel better by saying they're racist when she's black too. I hate that she can barely speak properly at 5 and people aren't concerned because she has her looks. I hate that my beautiful dumb cousin now has a beautiful child and lives with a man who takes care of her while I'm in my 20s without even having a boyfriend. I hate that I know she's going to have such an easy life when I'm still struggling. Side note, I'm not exaggerating when I say she's beautiful. She has the most perfect features, unique eye shape, button nose, full lips already, hairs to her armpits and naturally curly, but straightens so easily. Gorgeous smile. The damn dentist says she probably won't even need braces. And on top of that, a bubbly personality. Even when she was a baby, she would just laugh and smile at her every damn thing. I need to stop comparing myself to her, guys. Why is life not fair? My God.
Wow.
I read this. I said, what the hell? And immediately, to me, I was like, this has nothing to do with this baby.
Yeah.
This is all to do with you.
Yeah.
You have a problem with your skin color. You have a problem with your hair. You have a problem with your speech. You have a problem with the way you... This is all problems that you're seeing within yourself, and you're projecting them onto this little girl because she has the confidence. 5-year-olds are not, quote unquote, confident. They're just living without thinking about the judgment of other people. So I think, first of all, you don't have an issue with this little girl. She even called her cousin beautiful and dumb. She's dumb because she has a beautiful baby and she's beautiful. You're probably just as beautiful and you're not confident within yourself.
Yeah.
Because like you have long hair. Okay, use some oils. Get that Miracle Grow oil hair. Put a wig on, baby. You see Cardi B wears wigs all day. You know? There's so many things that we can do. And beauty isn't, one, beauty is in the eye of the beholder for me for sure.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And 2, like beauty is on the inside.
For sure.
How you speak to people, how you project yourself. I've seen plenty of girls, because I know in our society, big girls quote unquote people like, oh, big girls aren't beautiful. There's some big girls out there. They are so beautiful. And that comes because of the way they carry themselves. The same way I've seen plenty of model looking chicks that the moment they open their eyes, they walk by, I'm like, bitch, you ugly. There's nothing cute about you. You're disgusting. I would never want you in my presence. You know, I'd rather have a woman that is confident that to walk up next to me. So I just said, you're broken inside. You're dark inside.
She has some major like self-esteem things going on. Even how she said, I know that she's going to have an easy life. You don't know that.
You don't
Number
know
one.
that.
And then the thing is, she could possibly grow up. Because the one who wrote this letter, she could be beautiful. Could look just like her.
I'm sure she is. It's her cousin. It's her family member.
She might be beautiful too. And the little girl can grow up and have that same type of low self-esteem. You can't think just because she looks good to you that she's going to feel like she looks good. She's good for herself. But I think there's self-esteem issues. And maybe she's not. I'm wondering, what is she doing with her life? Is she doing anything?
Not a damn thing, probably.
She can't
sitting
be
at home
doing
looking at
anything.
pictures of this little baby.
That's what I'm thinking. She needs to get busy with her purpose, with whatever plan God has for her
Something
life.
has to have happened to her.
Yeah.
At one point in time, maybe some ugly ass boy with a little peepee then told you that you weren't cute, and he had problems with himself because he had a little yank, and now he mad. A man probably put that onto you, or another woman, or your mother, or your father, or a cousin. Someone told you something one day, and you believed it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't true. And I feel like it's so easy to feel down because with social media nowadays, everybody photoshops. Everybody's wearing 30-inch weaves. Like even I was scared to go back curly because when I took the pictures for this, I was wearing my weave and I was bleach blonde and I had all this and I was like, damn, I don't even look the same anymore. I'm going to go back natural. And to me, I'm like, what are people going to think? And then I said, that only lasts about 5 seconds. I said, the hell? I don't care. They're going to have to take me the way that I am. But for a second, I thought about what others might think. So she's clearly looking at what somebody else thinks and believed it.
Yeah. Let me ask this: Is the niece is she grown now? Because she said something about she got a boyfriend that take care of her. That she's like she got a man to take care of her.
Was that the cousin?
Or that the cousin?
No, the cousin.
Oh, that's
the mom. The mom of the baby.
The mom of the baby.
Right.
Okay.
So she's jealous of the mom.
So she really jealous of this little girl.
She's jealous of the girl. She's jealous of the mom.
Is this a real letter?
Yeah. It's just like, wow, you're only in your 20s.
Right.
I don't know if it's early 20s. I don't know if it's late 20s. But this shouldn't happen at
not in
any
your
time.
20s. Yeah. And not any time, but definitely not in your 20s where you're still basically perfect at that time too.
And it's a 5-year-old. That baby probably, think about the fact that baby probably still pees on herself in bed. How glamorous is that? She peed her bed. But
she's a kid. Yeah,
this is just a child, and it's like she can't. She said something about she speaks well, and people aren't concerned because she has her looks. Looks don't do anything for you. Like, looks might get you maybe, let's say, to someone in the door.
It gets you in the door, right?
But once you get in that door and you open that mouth, and it gets you right back out.
Right.
Not at 5 though. She's saying she has her look. Like, what is she trying to do at 5?
Exactly. Other than steal somebody's toy.
Yeah.
Right.
She might get extra cookies. But I'm sure that's because she's cute, but she's nice too.
Yeah.
She might get an extra scoop of ice cream at school. I don't know, something like that. But do you want ice cream? Buy your own goddamn cookie. You're in your 20s. There's nothing this little girl is not getting that you can't get your goddamn self.
Yeah, I think this definitely speaks to that woman who wrote the letter childhood. Like she definitely had she definitely had a trouble in childhood because she's looking at her niece's childhood and she's already jealous of the life she's seeing her niece lives and experiencing. So
I mean, even nowadays, when I look back at the pictures of me as a kid, maybe she's mad because she was an ugly baby. I wasn't even that cute. I had a unibrow. And then when I was 13, I was a hot mess. And I look at my daughter and her friends, and these girls have hair laid. They know how to do makeup. She knows how to put my lashes on. And I'm like, man, these 13-year-olds are cute. I was ugly as hell. I looked like a boy. I wanted to be a boy. And I'm like, am I going to be mad at them for being cute? I mean, sometimes I look at them and I'm like, ugh, get out of my face. But it's just me being funny with them. And I'm like, wow, they're really pretty. And times have changed. But something had to happen. My thing is go to therapy. I think she needs therapy.
Yeah, she has some healing that needs to take place. Definitely.
Yeah, and she's a black girl, so I'll suggest for sure the same way I found my therapist is Black Therapy for Black Girls, and that's a podcast, and she also has a directory. So I tried therapy, and I've mentioned this on the show before. I tried a white lady, that didn't quite work out. I tried a gay Hispanic, that didn't work out. I tried an older black man, and he kept staring at my feet. And it was weird. And he was like smirking. And the white lady, we didn't have much. I had to sit there and explain for an hour what I meant when I said certain things. And she'd be like, oh, what was that again? She didn't understand the way I spoke. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm not going to spend a whole hour explaining to you what I mean about certain things or what certain things are. So I went to Black Girls Therapy, and I'm not Black. I'm actually Puerto Rican, but I grew up here. I went to school in Eatonville with Shaquana. So that's where I've resonated, and what I think it's more of a cultural thing for me. And I found a therapist there, and she's around my age. She has a 13-year-old son, and every time I say something, although I'll say some off the wall shit sometimes, and she'll either laugh or be like, "Oh damn." You know, she understands me. And from there, we can talk about it. I don't have to explain my feelings. So I think she needs to go maybe to Black Girl Therapy or Therapy for Black Girls, I think it's called, and find you a therapist and it'll take time. It took me 4 to find the right one. But find the right one. And I bet you she don't even go to church because did nothing get... I think if you go to church, you might have known not to be mad at a 5-year-old.
Yeah, she needs some healing, and she needs to kind of get busy. I feel like she's not doing anything.
Yeah, she got too much time to be worrying about the 5-year-old ones.
Yeah, she ran about a 5-year-old. She definitely knows.
She's not doing nothing.
She's not doing too much.
So the next segment is one that I call Shit Talk. And either something happened to me or I read something and I'm like, oh, I want to talk shit about this. And I didn't even know this all came together so well because it's a woman that farted in a store and pulled a knife on the next customer and got charged and went to jail. So I stopped reading it. She was at a dollar store in line and she didn't let one go. She let one go. And the guy behind her, I guess, was like, damn, like, you stink, and started talking about it. And she pulled out a knife and, like, made motions, and they arrested her. She went to jail, and she got charged with, like...
She's a black lady?
Yeah. Okay. Did you see this? Because it happened here in Florida.
Of course it happened in Florida.
Of course it happens in Florida. That's where we have, like, the craziest people. And when I'm reading on it, I said, well, man, first of all, I was like, why did it have to happen in Florida? It could have been, like, Connecticut or somewhere else. She looked a little rough, too. She looked like she was mad about something. She's 37 years old. She was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without the intent to kill. So she went to bail. The bail was set at $2,500. They call her the alleged colon culprit. I thought that was pretty fucking funny. She let one rip. And they got into, so it says Walker got into a verbal argument with the guy in reference to the defendant farting loudly. It was loud and it stunk. So when I thought about it, I said, well, you know what? This reminds me of the fact that the other day, I've been with my boyfriend for 5.5 years. And I have never actually let one go in front of him intentionally. Now, I was married also for a really long time. And with my husband, I would just fart on his leg on purpose, just for the hell of it. I would do dumb shit like that. Like, I don't know if you guys probably don't follow me on Instagram, but even this morning sometimes I suffer with, what's it called when you can't poop? Constipation. And sometimes I can't go to the bathroom, and when I do, it's a fucking celebration, and everybody's gonna party with me, and I'm gonna post about it, and y'all gonna see that I'm there, clap with me, and be happy for me. So that's how transparent I am.
Hilarious.
And now I get people send me pictures of when they're going, and I was like, let me know how you're doing. I want to know that your stuff's going good over there too. Yeah. So anyways, I've never done anything in front of him intentionally, maybe in my sleep, and I don't know about it. I do remember one time something happened. I think he was tickling me. I'm pretty sure I let one go, but he never said anything. And then the problem is that he won't do it in front of me either. It's been 5.5 years, so I've heard him in the bathroom, and I'll try to pick at him to see if he'll get over. He's kind of shy. He's quiet and shy. He won't say anything. Yeah. And then I'm like, why can't I just go? I just want to, pass gas, poop, release a little air, basically cut the cheese, something. But he'd be like, no. Don't do that. Or he'll look at me and he'll be like, but why? Why can't you just go in the bathroom? And I'm like, well, why can't I just do it here? Like, sometimes he'll do it in the bed, and I know he knows he'd do it because I walk in and it smells like rotten. And I'm like, bro, you let one go? And he just looks at me dumb, won't even speak. Like, he don't speak English. So now you don't understand me. It stinks in here. So you're going to act like you didn't just fart. And he won't say where. He just look at me and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, also now you can't breathe. But anyways, my thought was, when is it okay to do it in a relationship? I think you should be open about things. You should just tell somebody, hey, I gotta poop. It's a natural thing. And this woman, I feel like she went to the Dollar Tree. She was in line. She had to let it go, and she just let it go. She let it rip. And I feel like now my boyfriend comes back from North Carolina tonight. He's only been gone for a day, but I gotta let him know I'm gonna rip one right in front of you, and I'm gonna make you smell it. Because her confidence gave me confidence to know that it's natural. And if you gotta let one go, you should let one go. So now y'all just been together for a month. And see, I'm gonna help you out so it doesn't take 5.5 years like it's taking me. Do you think it's cool to just fart in front of somebody?
Personally, My thing is, I wouldn't mind if I didn't have to smell it. I just feel like if you can kind of like walk away, then walk away. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess
try to be kind of polite, but if you can't help it, you can't help it. But you have some people who just let it rip.
Yeah, it feels
like,
great. I feel like
Yeah.
you shouldn't hold it. I heard it's bad for you. Because see, my dad was the type of man that we'd be at the table and my dad would do one of these, like lift the leg up and just...
See, if somebody did that like right towards me, I'd be like, really?
Oh, he would do it while we're eating. He would do it. But so did my mom. So everybody would just fart. It was like a family thing. Well, my dad would be the one while we're eating. It was so rude. But we just got used to it. I burp a lot. But yeah, I just... when you were in your 3.5-year relationship, did you do it?
No, not just let one go. Yeah, cause
No,
I mean, cause
you weren't comfortable with it.
I mean, cause the flowers start dying, stuff starts laying over. I mean, you got there. It's drastic. So you have to understand the potency of what you carry.
Listen, and let me tell you, if I still love my boyfriend to this day, it means it doesn't matter. So I'll tell you this from experience.
Yeah.
It don't matter because he smells like there's something dead inside of him. Yeah. And I'm still here.
Right.
Sometimes I wonder if we need to go to the hospital. Like something's got to be wrong.
You strong.
I think you should. My father, my mom did it. So shout out to Shanetta Yvette Wilson. She's the real MVP. I feel everyone should be more like her. Just not if I'm behind you in line. I'm not sure if I want to smell everybody. But if it happens, and I'll never judge anyone else for farting around me.
I agree. Yeah.
I do it in the car with my daughter and I lock the windows.
See,
I think that is the funnest game to play. So when you have when you have kids, do it and lock the windows.
See, and that's things you do too, like especially growing up among siblings and stuff like that, because you're gonna get them.
You gotta get them.
You know, but it's to each his own. Every relationship is different. You know what I'm saying? Like
So really, my shit talk goes to those people that like shame others for things that are all natural. If you naturally have to go, you have to let it go. Just let it go, and then say sorry later. It goes away. It's not like it lingers for too long. 5 minutes max. That's if you had a lot of cheese the day before.
God. Yeah.
I was cheese, and if you haven't pooped in a while. But if you poop and like you fart right after, it don't smell, so you're good. That's something I
never knew that. That's a fun fact.
Fun fact. Right after you take a poop, if you fart, maybe within like the next 12 hours, it usually doesn't smell like anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my daughter gets worried. She's like, "Did you poop yet when you fart?" And I'm like, "I did." She's like, "Oh yeah, you did. It doesn't smell great." Anywho, now that we're done with that one, the point of that was everyone should be more like Mrs. Wilson. My thing, let everyone know where they can find you, your book when it's releasing, where they can see your lives, because I see you go on live a lot, all of that.
All right, so you can find me on melodyshekia.com.
I'm going to tag it on iTunes as well.
Okay, so melodyshekia.com, that's my website. Also, the book is called Life After Freedom from Pornography Addiction. All right, so it's mainly for women. But I would say if men want to pick it up and read it or give it to someone you know and love, then that's cool too.
I think it's good for men to read it too.
I've had a few men read it and they say it was very helpful for men too.
Okay.
So the book will be released on January 28th, but it's available for pre-order right now at melodyshekia.com, and it will ship on January 18th if you pre-order it.
Nice. And are you self-publishing this? It's on your own?
Self-publishing.
Yes, girl. Yeah. All them coins go to you. So you guys, I feel like it's not only pornography, but if you're addicted to anything, I feel like it would help. It's a story of someone that you can resonate with and you can understand, and it goes with you. Do you have social media that you want people to follow you on? Yes,
you can follow me on Instagram at Melody Shekia. Find me on Facebook, search Melody Shekia. Also YouTube, Melody Shekia.
What about yourself, sir? Do you have, because you said you do.
Yeah. I'm on Facebook, Reggie Huffman. You can also find me on Instagram on the Reggie Huffman 51 and on Periscope.
Periscope still around?
Yeah, Periscope is still around.
Oh, yeah. I did not know that.
Periscope is popping.
Yeah.
Is it?
Apparently.
Yeah.
What do you do on Periscope?
I do broadcasts where I'm basically like teaching on the word.
So it's like a live?
Yeah, you're doing like a live broadcast, just like on Facebook or Instagram. Oh. And it has a whole different audience. Like it's a whole different vibe on Periscope. But people use it for teaching, for cooking. You have a lot of people who have really popped on doing like cooking shows on Periscope, and they're in the kitchen. They got their broadcast set up, and they got like hundreds of people watching them.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
I really did not know they were around. I know my boyfriend would do Periscope when he was at his races, And I was like, what the hell is this Periscope? You talking to girls? You talking to girls? Let me see. But it wasn't. I didn't understand what it was.
Think about Periscope. You really got to grind Periscope because you have to cultivate that audience. So, like, if you go live, you ain't nobody.
Well, that's like anywhere. Like Instagram, Facebook, you go live and you have to get people to get used to seeing your lives and get entertained. Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. You guys were amazing. Thank you for being open and transparent and letting me talk. And I was scared because, again, I come from the church and some people will be like, oh, but you curse and you do all that. And I know that but I don't change for anyone. I have my cousin who's a pastor and he lets me talk the way I talk. And at the end of the day, he knows there's no ill will intent for me. So thank you so much for letting me be myself and not judging me. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, there's one more thing I had to do. I told everyone how important it is because I need you guys to go on iTunes, rate, subscribe, and review the podcast. It helps me a lot, and you guys have been doing great. So every week I've been reading someone's review, and this week I'm going to read a review from. I'm gonna read this one. I haven't read it. I saw it, and I'm like, you know what? I actually know who it is. And her name is Jessie Journey Through Cancer. I had no idea she had a journey. And from the job that I just quit, she worked there. And I didn't meet her until I put meet her until I put in my 2 weeks notice. And that
was dope.